The Cowboy Spirit Radio Network presents Arizona Roundup with Stuart Rosebrook from the Sharlot Hall Museum in Prescott, Arizona.
Welcome to Arizona Roundup with Stuart Rosebrook and Sharlot Hall Museum in Prescott, Arizona. My special guest today is Kym Lopez. Kym, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Kym, we were talking before we got on the air a little bit about growing up in one of the most beautiful places in the country, Virginia.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about growing up in Virginia. And were you in Washington, D.C.? Were you down in Williamsburg? Where was it that you grew up?
I actually grew up in Lynchburg, Virginia.
Okay.
So right there on the James River.
Right.
Very historic. Just a really cool place to grow up.
Right. Not too far from the Shenandoah Valley and the Blue Ridge Mountains.
No, Williamsburg. We used to go there all the time.
Right. What a beautiful state. So how long did you live there and when did you come to Arizona?
Well, I was there until I was 18, so
Okay.
we moved out here in 1987.
All right. So did you move to Prescott Valley?
I moved to Prescott.
Right.
Yeah, right up on Thumb Butte.
Wow. So now that had to be quite a dramatic change to come from the green valleys and beautiful mountains of the Blue Ridge of Virginia
Yes.
out to the desert of Arizona. And, well, you know, you were used to the mountains, but the climate was a little bit different.
It was completely different.
Right.
Yes, my skin didn't like it. My hair didn't like it. Nothing about me liked it. The funny little story was my brother, when they picked me up in Phoenix, on the way here, he convinced me that Prescott had these things called air pockets. So because we were so high up in the mountains that it wouldn't be uncommon to see people like just fall over because they walked into an air pocket which had no air. And I'm sitting there looking at all these people going, I look like somebody out of their element, bleach blonde hair, like mini skirt, just, from the East Coast.
Right.
I'm like, why wouldn't I think that would be a thing?
Right. For sure.
Oh, yeah. He had me totally convinced for the whole day.
Oh, my goodness. So one of the things I think about a lot is when you move to Prescott or if you've lived here or you come back, and a big question that you get many times living here in Prescott is, well, how long have you lived here? When did you arrive? And you might say, well, I just moved here a couple of years ago. And they say, well, our family's been here since, the 1870s or the 1920s. And so one of my favorite new talks I like to give is about Sharlot Hall and Charlotte's journey from Kansas to Arizona and how she became an Arizonan. And how many of us came here is because we came here with our parents. It was a family move, and she's no different than so many other residents here in Prescott and Arizona. And she was a Kansas girl from central Kansas, Great Plains, but she became one of our greatest Arizonans.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's also part of the magic of Prescott is that the doors are open for you to become involved in this community. And it sounds like from an early age, that was something that you really have modeled, that your parents were very involved in education and volunteerism.
Yes, very much so. My mom, growing up, I don't think she ever really had a job. She was a professional volunteer. So I got to learn it from her.
Right.
She did a lot with the church, the blind centers, disabled kids, that type of stuff. So
what a great role model. I remember my mom was involved with the Junior League, and they did a lot for the blind centers. That was a big cause, I know, in the 60s and 70s at that time. And I think that when you have parents who role model like that, or maybe a mentor or a coach, or even you're in college, maybe haven't grown up around that, and you're like, oh, wow, that, this is something, this feels good, raising money for a local charity as a college student, or maybe you've just moved to a town. And I think that when I moved back here, I'd gotten a call from Bill Pierce, and it's kind of in COVID, so you're a little trapped. And Bill Pierce called me up and he said, Stuart, I hear you're coming to Prescott, and I've got something for you to do when you get here. And I'm like, well, okay, Bill, that sounds great. He goes, you're coming down to the Western Heritage Center, and you're going to be on our board. And I'm like,
I wouldn't
Okay.
argue with that.
Okay, Bill. And so I think it was within a couple of months when things were kind of opening up a little bit. I went down there and the door opened and I got involved. And it just reminded me so much of what Prescott in Arizona is about. And that is this welcoming, open door. If you want to make a difference, you can.
Yep.
And so you're right now, you've just retired.
I did. I retired.
Right? From a long time career in sales and advertising and marketing and a big career, but you've never stopped volunteering, and you hold one of the most public positions as a volunteer here in Prescott. A small organization called Prescott Frontier Days, Inc.
Yes.
And you are
the president.
The president of the board of directors. That's a full-time job almost on top of it, isn't it?
No, because I have a great board and the gym has a great staff there.
Right.
Things just move pretty smooth. I do dedicate several, like usually a Wednesday is the day I'm in the office most of the time. But, I'll pop in on a Tuesday or something and just kind of help out when I know things need to get done.
So how long have you been involved with the rodeo, Kym?
Since 2006.
Wow. So you've been involved for a long time.
I have. I actually started volunteering selling programs.
Okay. Out in the dust and the heat of the parking lot?
Yeah. Yes. My oldest daughter was a cheerleader, and so they were doing the selling of the programs. The chairman was Kathy Gaddy, and so she decided she wasn't going to do it anymore. So I was her assistant chair for a year to learn how she did it, and then I took over the chairmanship, and I've been there ever since.
That's fantastic. So we're going to take a small break here. We're going to thank our sponsors. We're going to come back and talk a little bit more about the World's Oldest Rodeo 2025 and what people are going to expect when they attend the rodeo this year.
Alrighty.
Since 1995, Helkin and Horn Ad Agency has helped local businesses stand out and succeed from print and radio to websites and social media. You see, their talented team crafts your brand's message and offers a plan to get it out into the community. Do you want results backed by 30 years of experience? Visit AZAD, that's azadagency.com, and do it today. Helkin and Horn, where their slogan is "Be Known." Well, if you're looking for the store that has everything, Prescott True Value Hardware might be your answer. From having that part to fix that leaky faucet to decorating your garden with charm. You see, they have got it all, and a friendly face to match for over 30 years. They've proudly served Prescott, supporting neighbors like you and local nonprofits along the way. So visit the town, the place. Visit Prescott True Value Hardware. They're more than just a hardware store. They're more indeed.
This is Stuart Rosebrook at Sharlot Hall Museum on Arizona Roundup, and my special guest today is Kym Lopez. She is the president of Prescott Frontier Days, which, from my perspective, is the greatest rodeo and the greatest 4th of July in America, maybe outside Williamsburg, Virginia, at least for the 4th of July, for the colonial experience.
Correct.
But if you want the best parade, the best atmosphere, this is the place to be, Prescott, Arizona, USA. And my memories run deep on this rodeo and this parade. It is
absolutely,
really remarkable. And you have been involved since 2006, and you've been on the board for quite a few years, and now serving as president.
Yes.
What are some of the things that we should be thinking about this year when we're planning to go to the rodeo, or some surprises you can share with us?
Well, this year's theme is Women in Rodeo. So
Right.
you are going to see a lot of thanking women in rodeo and just highlighting them.
Right.
The ones that started our rodeo. Most people don't realize that in 1889 was the first woman in rodeo.
There's an article that a member of a volunteer from the World's Oldest Rodeo is writing an article for our Days Past series, which is in the Courier. And we were actually reviewing that article today, and I was doing some research, and I'm like, 7 women stepped up. They watched the rodeo in 1888, and the next year they said, nope, we are not being shut out of this parade, this rodeo.
Correct.
We are getting in the arena. Tell us a little bit about that. That's pretty darn cool.
Well, there's actually one who was a barrel racer. The biggest one that we actually do have coming, we have Karen Vold and Kirsten, who is our stock contractor.
Right.
So, but Karen's actually coming this year.
That's
and
fantastic.
She was a rider and a queen.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, there's a lot of history just in who we use on an annual basis.
Right.
With our rodeo.
Right. And I believe the Harry Vold Rodeo Company, now the Vold Rodeo Company, have been supplying rough stock to the rodeo since 1972.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And I do remember there was an old timers when my dad was back, I think it was in 96, and he had not seen Harry and the family since 1972, I think, or 73. And it was just a remarkable reunion, and what a history behind this Vold Rodeo Company, and to have them here in Prescott all of these decades. Remarkable legacy.
Absolutely. And if you've never taken the time to watch her unload that livestock into the arena, it is the most amazing thing to watch.
You're going to have to give me a call. I need to be over there
It
to
may
see
be
that.
late at night, though.
Well, I'd love to see it. I would love to see that. And now, I remember Harry would sit on a chair, wouldn't he? Didn't he have his seat perched
he
over
did.
the arena?
Oh, yes, you did.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Kirsten doesn't do that. She's
Right.
down there with the guys.
Right.
She's loading the cattle. And she's just an amazing individual herself.
Right. And then I know that the general manager, Jim Dewey Brown, he really pushed to bring in Breakaway to the rodeo. And it's one of my favorite, I look forward to that every time I go to the rodeo or turn it on TV. It is it is action.
Oh,
I mean,
it's fascinating.
if you look
to watch.
away, you're going to miss the loop.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, these young women, if they were allowed to team rope or calf rope, watch out.
There might be some competition.
I think so. Because let's face it, there isn't a ranch built in the West without the hands of women side by side with the men.
Absolutely.
And
It's
that's
a team.
right. And that's probably one reason why in the early years of rodeo, until a woman was killed in an arena, and I think in 1929, that women were accepted as part of the regular competition at rodeos.
Yes. And in 1915 was one of the first female bronc riders.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's not an easy task.
No. And if you've ever spent time with men and women trail riding or watching how men and women train horses, women's balance on horses is as good as it gets or better than most men.
Yes.
They are, very fit and they are one with those horses. And so I think it's great that the Prescott Frontier Days is honoring women in rodeo this year. And it's a long time coming.
Absolutely. Jim, he actually has the next several years lined out, and he's done an amazing job.
That's fantastic.
It's honoring the sport.
Right. And I think was it last year was team ropers,
Yes.
and the year before that was the bullfighters.
Correct.
Right. Well, I think I think people are noticing, and it's also part of that tradition that if you are in the PRCA and you're penning out your schedule for the summer, and you haven't earned a buckle at the world's oldest rodeo, that's a missing piece on your hardware.
Absolutely. That is actually trademarked. I don't know if you know that.
Is that right?
Patented and trademarked.
Well,
Just
that's
the
good.
buckle.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And especially in this world of, your ability to go to, some kind of internet company and sign up for names.
Correct.
And try to circle around somebody who owns the name of something.
So here's a little fun fact. The banner that says World's Oldest Rodeo that has almost looks like it's dripping.
Right.
That is actually an artist's rendering that we trademarked.
Wow, that's
So that's
fantastic.
not a font.
No,
And
that's individual, one of a
Yes,
kind.
One of a kind.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
Well, we got to protect the world's oldest rodeos. It's Prescott's. It's Arizona's. It's one of the great legacies of America that happens every year. And this year it's June 30th?
June 30th through July 6th.
Right?
Yep.
So,
And it's number 138. So 2 more years.
2 more years, a big year.
Celebration.
And I'm hearing buzz already from folks talking to me saying, when are we going to start planning the 150th?
Yeah.
It's never too soon to talk about that.
Nope, never too soon.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break and thank our sponsors. We're going to come back and talk about AZ250, and I know it's something that you is dear to your heart, and a little bit about some of the other projects you're doing here in Prescott, and then we'll circle back and talk more about the rodeo.
Okay.
Since 2007, Pinion Painting has been transforming homes and businesses with over 40 years of first-hand experience. You see, they bring superior craftsmanship and a real eye for detail to every project, making your vision a reality, hassle-free. You see, your time is precious, so trust Pinion Painting to get it right and to get it right the first time. So visit Pinion Painting today and let them transform your space. They're on the web at pinionpainting.com. For over 45 years, Blind Brothers Arizona has been the heart of window style in Prescott. From blinds, shutters, drapes, they will custom design and install with expert precision, tailored just to you, whether it's for your home or your office. You can trust the name that locals rely on. Visit blindbrothersarizona.com today or call them at 928-776-1845. Once again, that's 928-776-1845 for a free consultation. Blind Brothers Arizona, the original since 1979.
Welcome back to Arizona Roundup with Stuart Rosebrook at Sharlot Hall Museum. And my special guest today is my friend Kym Lopez from Prescott Frontier Days. Kym, we were just talking about women in rodeo, and the theme for this year's Prescott Frontier Days, 138th consecutive professional rodeo with prizes, an entry fee. It is the granddaddy of them all. It is the oldest rodeo, the world's oldest rodeo here in our hometown of Prescott, Arizona. And who are we honoring this year as the Grand Marshal? Do we have a special person, right? Is it Nancy Shepard?
We have several special people that are going to be honored, and I'm glad you actually brought that up because I just took a photo of the list.
Fantastic. And I believe we also have a special poster that the foundation is selling to raise money for scholarships, as well as a very limited run of Wild Rags, which has a red, white, and blue theme based on Sarah Phippen, the granddaughter of George Phippen, has done the painting for the annual poster and the Wild Rag. And it is going to be spectacular.
I saw the mock-up. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Right. And so I think everyone's going to want one of those posters. And
the Wild Rag.
And the Wild Rag. And if the Wild Rags sell out, who knows? We might do another run. They're going to be really unique and gorgeous to wear.
Yes. And if you don't know how to do a flower, YouTube it because it makes it even more beautiful.
All right. We'll have to have you back on and talk about how to do that, or have Tracy Horn take a photograph of you putting on the Wild Rag and tying the flower knot. I think that would be great.
Jim taught me how to do that. And
nice.
I cannot do the square knot to save my life, but I can do the flower.
All right.
Which is supposedly the most difficult.
Sounds good. Well, that's why women in rodeo, I think that they're up to any challenge.
Absolutely.
So who are some of our Grand Marshals this year?
Well, Nancy is a Grand Marshal.
Nancy Shepard, all right.
There are 9 other
Really?
Yes, women being honored.
Okay. And isn't Nancy, she's 92, 93, and she appeared in the rodeo in the late 40s.
She did.
And is a trick rider.
She is.
And she is featured in the poster and the Wild Rag.
Yes.
What a remarkable woman. I've had a fortune to meet her at Old Timers.
Oh.
Yeah, and she'll be there again. Nice. Obviously, that's a good place to meet her.
And what a lot of people probably don't know is that we really, truly do like to honor those that are before us, because that is where the history is. That is where the roots are.
Right. So tell me a little bit about these grand marshals this year. Can you announce them yet, or is this top secret?
Can't. It's not a top secret.
Okay. Well, when will you be able to announce it, or is it the week of the rodeo where everyone will be surprised?
I believe it's actually going out the week of the rodeo.
Okay.
Or who the grand marshals are.
Okay. Well, I might have to give you a call on the phone, and that week we'll do a quick podcast on that Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
And to talk about what everyone's going to expect that week.
Yeah.
Rodeo week. We'll do
Absolutely.
a special show.
Absolutely.
All right.
The parade is a big deal, and that Saturday is a very long day for the board of directors. But hey, we show up with smiles on our face, and we're glad to do it.
Well, you know what's happening on parade day between the matinee performance of the rodeo and the nighttime performance?
I'm taking a nap.
We are having a special guest here at Sharlot Hall Museum.
Oh.
Sarah Phippen is coming to Sharlot Hall Museum to meet all the VIPs and guests who would like to come here, and they are going to be auctioning off her painting between 4 and 6 o'clock on July 6th, right?
Yes,
right?
I do remember that.
That's right. So Sharlot Hall Museum is partnering with the Prescott Frontier Days Foundation to help raise money for the scholarships that the foundation gives out each year, and it's a great place to showcase Sharlot Hall Museum as part of our community, because Sharlot Hall was a young woman when the rodeo started, and we have a grand tradition of supporting and also promoting the rodeo and its history here at the museum.
Okay, I'll take a power nap. Make sure I'm here.
All right, fantastic. And I think that day, that morning, I don't know if you know this yet, Kym, but we are dipping into our rolling stock collection, and we have 3 vehicles this year in the rodeo parade. We are leasing an 18-passenger, 16-foot wagon with 2 Percheron horses.
Oh.
We are rolling out our farm wagon, and we are rolling out Charlotte's car.
Really?
And and that is just the beginning of our entries, our growth in the Frontier Days parade. And next year, we're going to roll Bud Brown's covered wagon back out, 50 years after it rolled across the country for the bicentennial.
Wow.
We are going to restore
awesome.
it as a showpiece of the museum and of Prescott, Arizona.
See, more people need to do that. There's a lot of history around Prescott, and if you can dig those things out of your barn and you can get them roadworthy for a parade, I highly recommend you do it.
We are going to do that, and it's just the beginning of bringing that rolling stock back out into the public view, so that we can enjoy it and celebrate our history together.
Yeah. I'm glad you're partnering with us on that.
Yep, most definitely. It's and I know that our goal is then to roll that wagon across the state at other parades to bring Prescott and Sharlot Hall across the state of Arizona.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
Yeah, and I have to tell you, the inspiration is the Prescott Frontier Days parade. If it wasn't for the parade, we would not have an opportunity to showcase it for our community. And just like the other great rodeo parades in Tucson and Cheyenne, Deadwood, Pendleton, where Parada and Wickenburg, where people bring out their rolling stock and showcase their history for the public, and it celebrates that Western heritage.
Absolutely.
And so
it's truly important, especially
it is,
around here.
Most definitely. And I will tell you that I think a class, one of the things that I want to do in the next couple of years is be able to find Teamsters here from Yavapai County and Prescott that we can hire to roll our stock. And it's a lost art. And I'm having to reach across the state of Arizona to find Teamsters who can bring their reins and their horses to roll our stock. And so on this show right now, I'm kind of
You're throwing it out there.
Shouting it out.
People give you a call.
We need some local folks who know how to be Teamsters and have got horses ready to roll Western, trailers and wagons, historic wagons and stagecoaches. And
I'm sure we have a few ranches around here that.
Yeah, that's right. I think we can do that.
I think so.
All right. We're going to take one more break here. We're going to come back and we're going to talk to Kym Lopez about working in nonprofits here across Prescott and put in a few more words about the world's oldest rodeo.
Are you looking for a fun, educational outing? Sharlot Hall Museum isn't just a history display. No way. It's a real experience, from the Prescott Indian Arts Market to Charlotte's Cellar, living history adventures, author presentations, and a lecture series for those of you who take some things quite seriously. That's right, there's something for everyone. So uncover the past and create new memories and maybe have some good ideas for the future. Do it today. Visit charlottehallmuseum.org to see our full event lineup. And we hope you'll come, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Welcome back to Arizona Roundup with Stuart Rosebrook at Sharlot Hall Museum. And my special guest today is Kym Lopez, and we've been speaking a lot about volunteerism here in Prescott and Prescott Valley, and that is near and dear to your heart. Kym, tell us a little bit about the other charities and some of your public service you do outside of Frontier Days.
Well, I have a lot. I'm an ambassador for the Prescott Valley Chamber of Commerce, which is very near and dear to my heart, too, because Marnie Yule has built a great chamber out there, and it's a business.
It's fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. So I do that. I was on the board for the Casa for Kids Foundation. I still am involved and participate in everything that they do, because that is a very needed organization. The Advocacy Center, Missy is a very dear friend of mine, and that's a very needed area too. So they partner together on a lot of things. I used to be the Capital B Bond chairwoman for Humboldt Unified School District.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I got to manage a $41 million taxpayer bond.
That's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Right?
Yep. So
tell me about it's the Casa for Kids?
Casa for Kids?
Casa for Kids and the advocacy group. Tell me about those two.
So the Casa for Kids Foundation, they raise money for the Casas, the court-appointed advocates. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, when kids are taken from their home, they don't leave with a lot. And so the Casa will send over gift cards. We buy gift cards and make sure that the kiddos can get the things, the basic necessities that they need.
Right.
And, it's a process. There's also like a family center that's there. So if they're reuniting with their family, it's a safe place to go. Mm-hmm. And the advocacy center is kind of part of that, because that's the trauma-based part. And so they kind of go hand in hand.
It reminds me a little bit about the Crisis Nursery down in Phoenix.
Yep.
I was in the 2030 Club in Phoenix for years, and that was our charity that we raised money
Absolutely.
for. Crisis Nursery. And those are such needed charities in our community, almost unseen. People don't think about them, but they're needed 24/7.
I don't think people like to talk about it.
Right.
They like to bury that type of stuff. But unfortunately, it does happen.
Right.
And it's not the kiddos' fault.
No, not at all. Not at all. Well, what an important role you've been playing in our community for so long, Kym.
Well, thank you.
It's and this year at the rodeo, isn't there a theme every night at the rodeo that
there is.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about that. So if you don't have your tickets yet, or you're going to attend the rodeo, there are some very special nights, and I've been witness to some of those, and many times you're standing there and better have a handkerchief, because you're definitely going to be very moved by who we dedicate our evening rodeos to.
Absolutely. And I'm trying to see if I have all the days because we just solidified all the days, and I do. So if you are attending on June 30th, that is the Daily Courier night.
Okay.
First night's always the Daily Courier night. July 1st is Writing for the Cure.
Is that Tuesday? Is that Wednesday or Tuesday?
It's Tuesday.
Tuesday, okay.
And that sponsor is National Bank of Arizona.
Wonderful.
Yep. Wednesday, July 2nd is York night. And Thursday, July 3rd is Cinch. And it's also our first responders night.
Oh, I remember that. I'm going to that rodeo again this year. I remember last year.
Yes.
That is a powerful evening.
It is.
At the rodeo.
It is. And then Friday night, which is July 4th, is Jack Daniels night. Then Saturday day performance is our veterans. It's our salute to our veterans.
Wonderful.
And that is Patriot Pest and Termite Control
Okay.
is the sponsor. And then the Saturday night is Coors. And Sunday is Pepsi.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, are we going to see the helicopter again out there on Sunday with the American flag?
I'm not sure.
Not sure.
No, I'm not sure.
All right. Well, I know that all of those nights make it very special, an extra special part of the experience at the rodeo. The other thing I've noticed the last few years is if you get out there a little early, before you can get out to the rodeo grounds. What, half hour, an hour before?
It's open an hour before performance time.
And I think that's something we should probably discuss a little bit, because I think for all of us who've been going to the rodeo for a long time, and I think the first time I went, I went with a summer camp. I went with the Quarter Circle V-Bar Ranch Camp, 250 of us, and, you had lunch, you got to the parade, you had lunch, and you go in and you get a Coke and a snow cone, and we usually would seat over on the west end, K or L.
Yep.
But now it's like a carnival. You get out there an hour beforehand and you walk into the rodeo. Great places, lots of stuff to eat, clothes and hats to buy. Tell me a little bit about this new, I think it's about 3 years in a row now. It's kind of grown the midway.
A little longer than that, but it's we've kind of dialed it in a little bit more.
Okay.
The vendors that are coming back are dialing it in too.
Great.
So when you first walk in through the main gate, you're going to walk into the vendor area. You have, you do have your food trucks. You have, like York will have all their trucks out there. I believe this year we do still have the bowl coming back out, so you'll have that. There's like
the mechanical bowl.
Yep.
Right.
So there's entertainment, there's shopping, there's all sorts of things just in the vendor area.
So if you didn't bring your hat and you need a hat, you can get one right there.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And then you walk up the stairs, and then you're in the grandstands, and then behind the grandstands there are vendors up there as well.
Right.
And we are completely sold out of all of our vendors. There is not an inch to spare.
That's fantastic. I mean, it really, for me and the family, when we go out to the rodeo, that's the added bonus, right, to the experience. And it really pays to get out there early so you can stake out your seats, get something to eat so you don't miss any of the action, because the lines get long pretty quickly when you get out there. So I think that's haven't missed a rodeo since we returned to Prescott. And I think when we first got back, I thought, we can get out there just before the rodeo starts, and there'll be food behind the grandstands, but it's all really out in the midway. It's out there on the entryway.
Yep.
Maybe there's some food down towards the east end, usually some pizza or Chick-fil-A or someone like that.
Just spread it out. Just one, to keep the lines down, but then also the Cowboys families and stuff, they don't really have time to stand in a line.
Right.
So we have to cater to that side too.
Right.
So
now, are you still looking for any volunteers this year? Or?
Oh, yes. Actually, I just finished the letter to the membership. We are looking for volunteers. We're about 200 short. I'm not overly concerned. Part of that number is also our groups that have bartenders, but we do have, I would say, a good 70 that are going to be needed in key areas.
All right. So we've been talking a lot about how Prescott's a great city to volunteer in. If you want to get involved, how do people find out or contact the rodeo if they want to be a volunteer in this year, the 138th edition of the world's oldest rodeo. How do you become a volunteer?
You can always email info@worldsoldestrodeo.com.
Okay.
And one of the girls will answer. You can go on to our website and download the form.
All right,
volunteer
that sounds
form,
good.
and get that
That's
sent
pretty easy
over.
to do. I've done it.
Super easy. We do have a membership meeting that is coming up. I believe it is the 6th of June.
First Friday of June.
Yep. And so we will be, chairmen will be sitting there at their tables and kind of going through what it is that they still need and that they're looking for.
All right, so you can go to worldsoldestrodeo.com.
Correct?
Or email info@worldsoldestrodeo.com.
Correct.
And find out how to be a volunteer and sign up today.
Absolutely.
And become part of one of the greatest rodeo in America.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. Well, Kym, I hope that we will be talking to you just during rodeo week to hear, the frontline action, some surprises that are coming everyone's way. And if people want tickets, I understand it's almost sold out. So you want to go back to...
We are pretty close to being sold out.
Right. So worldsoldestrodeo.com. If you still don't have tickets or a hotel room, you better get them fast.
And only get your tickets from worldsoldestrodeo.com.
That's right.
Because you do have the scammers out there. If you're paying more than $100 for a ticket, those are not our tickets.
All right. Well, Kym, it's great having you on Arizona Roundup. I look forward to having you back on the show very soon.
All righty.
All right. Let's rodeo.
All right.
Well, that's a wrap, good folks and friends, from Prescott, Arizona. This has been Arizona Roundup with Stuart Rosebrook from the Sharlot Hall Museum, along with many of the guests and friends and members of the community. And we come your way on this magic way of new worldwide radio every week. We hope that you will recommend us to others. By the way, perhaps you have some comments. Maybe you'd even like to be a guest on one of our programs, or you know somebody who could share some storytelling, some wisdom, insight, and truth. So go, as we've said many times, to charlottehallmuseum.org and get in touch with us, contact us, and we'd love to hear from you and be with you as you plan a great summertime and a great rest of 25. All the best and blessings. Be back next week. Till next time, bye for now.